got to be another way in.
Then why are we even still here? There are 50 other perfect targets. The Golden Gate Bridge, the Space Needle. There's no chatter to support this.
Targeting me won't get their money back. I knew the mob wouldn't go down without a fight, but this is different. They've crossed the line.
You crossed the line first, so you squeezed them, you hammered them to the point of desperation. And in their desperation, they turned to a man they didn't fully understand.
Criminals aren't complicated, Alfred. We just need to figure out what he's after.
With respect, Master Wayne, perhaps this is a man you don't fully understand either. A long time ago, I was in Burma. My friends and I were working for the local government. They were trying to buy the loyalty of tribal leaders by bribing them with precious stones. But their caravans were being raided in a forest north of Rangoon by a bandit. So we went looking for the stones. But in 6 months, we never met anyone who traded with him. One day, I saw a child playing with a ruby the size of a tangerine. The bandit had been throwing them away.
So why steal them?
Well, because he thought it was good sport, because some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
There, please. You got that in there.
I'd like to solve.
Okay, don't add anything, say everything, go ahead.
Show, step, pile, wake.
You got it. Hi, feel better? Funny what a win will do. Pardon me, I have to go down here and pick up this trip. All we know is to the Great Northwest, but we need to know more than that. And Jim Thornton, who knows everything, will tell us.
I do, and I'll tell you right now, these inlets and bays make for carefree days, Kimberly. Cruise through beautiful Puget Sound with American Cruise Lines. Relax in your spacious stateroom, experience guided excursions, and spot whales from your private balcony. $11,320.
You're very welcome.
Spot whales from your private balcony. $11,320.
You're very welcome.
We figured out that that date is the Dios de los Muertos, the Spanish Day of the Dead. And now we have, in the movie Red Dawn, China attacks Seattle. So in this clip, you have like a Tiananmen Square type situation with this young lady, and she gets tapped on the shoulder by the Spanish Day of the Dead character. Now, this would almost be a stretch if this weren't the movie that had the Notre Dame Tower burning in it, the I Pet Goat Part 2. So, alright, gets a little more interesting. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare number 4. So this is in Seattle. You have the Space Needle in the background, and we have a nuke plant here, and it explodes. Now, after it explodes, you get a transmission from a fellow named Hades, who says the world must be reset to its natural state. Technology is cancer. I'm here to liberate you from this cancer. The world must be reset to its natural state. Alright, more from this Call of Duty game. So after that, so here's the football field with what appears to be bodies and body bags and some sort of station of something happening here. I'll play this for a second. The line on the screen, it says, "One man tried to throw the world into darkness. Felt like we could never find our way back."
We are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
For too long, a small group in our nation's capital
Are corrupt.
has reaped the rewards of government.
The rich
while the people have borne the cost.
The oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity.
The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country.
And do you accept the resignation of all of these liars, of all the corrupt?
That all changes, starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
None shall interfere. Do as you please.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again. The United States of America.
It will endure.
See, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Swifter as eagles and a lion, which we will see in Samuel. All right, here we go, guys. Before we start the video, I want to show you a couple things. What comes to mind with that? What comes to mind when you see this? And what comes to mind when you look at this? Well, we'll get into it as we play the video. But here we go. I'll have a link for this. You can see it yourself. And pause it. You guys might see some things that I don't even see. So are you ready? Let's go. This is it, man. We're in the last days. And look, isn't everything great? Isn't everything great? All right, the economy's doing great. Look at that, the Dow Jones. Now, the golden calf is right in front of you, okay? Make no graven image. What did the Jews do? They made a golden calf. America's done the same thing. What is all this? Mammon. You cannot serve God of mammon. This is the beast, man. This is money. This is the end times Rome. Judges. What is that? Look at this. What is this? A temple? Oh, look at everything is great. It's not, man. These are all these statistics. All you people fall for it because you fall for a political party. You worship America. Okay, you cannot serve God of mammon. Jesus Christ, his kingdom is not of this earth. All right. Quickly there, we have flash, but that was a constellation. Okay, look at all this. Now listen.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic. We have been in frequent contact with our allies, and we are marshaling the full power of the federal government and the private sector to protect the American people.
I know the truth. There's no going back. You've changed things. Forever.
Then why'd you want to kill me?
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No.
We are now starting to see scam artists trying to profit off of the fear of the coronavirus.
Prices on Amazon, Walmart, and Facebook Marketplace from third-party sellers are skyrocketing. $220 for a box of 10 masks on Amazon, 11 times the regular price. And for a bottle of hand sanitizer on Walmart.com, $48, normally less than $4.
No, you complete me.
You're garbage. You kills for money.
Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be. To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. When they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. See, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
And we're also urging facilities to designate separate areas for healthy and sick residents. And this is a practice that we probably will be recommending into the future long after the enemy is gone. This particular enemy is gone. The enemy is gone. This particular enemy is gone.
It's you!
Yes, man cub. So nice to see you again.
Oh, go away. Leave me alone.
Let me look at you. You don't want me to look at you? Then you look at me.
No, sir. I know what you're trying to do, cop.
You do? You don't trust me.
No.
Then there's nothing I can do to help.
You want to help me?
Certainly.
Okay. So let's dedicate this to General Kelly, the Border Patrol, and the ICE agents for doing such an incredible job. All right? This was written by Al Wilson a long time ago. And I thought of it having to do with our borders and people coming in. And we know what we're going to have. We're going to have problems. We have to very, very carefully vet. We have to be smart. We have to be vigilant. So here it is, the snake. It's called the snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you." The border. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I have saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in."
We're under house arrest. house arrest until the powers that be complete the next step in their plan.
Americans are searching for any signs of optimism as we work our way through what could be the darkest days of this coronavirus pandemic.
Taking away our freedoms one step at a time. Edward Griffin wrote about the mandrake mechanism, where mandrake's the magician. And so what the magician does, he has everybody so afraid of this thing called a virus as they steal your money and they steal your wealth.
Hospitals and the media are inflating the numbers of virus deaths. Doesn't matter if it's pneumonia, diabetes, or old age. It's been found out when bodies are taken in, they aren't doing testing to see what they've died of. They simply write down. That's why the numbers are so staggering. That's why everyone's losing their minds.
Well, people are finally waking up that you cannot trust our own government. I knew it was coming, but I couldn't believe it actually quarantined people. This is a manufactured Great Depression when there was real unemployment. Now they have to manufacture unemployment. I mean, it's more frightening than I ever imagined.
My man tells me my hands are clean. Then I wash my hands.
The people who really think it's about the virus, not the biggest cash heist going on behind their backs, they just can't see their money is being stolen via their money.
These people, we are the movement of the future. We're asking for the votes of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and first-time voters, and they're all over the place. You see that on the line. November 8th, you got to get and vote. November 8th. November 8th. Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to Room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good. All right. Get out there. No matter how you feel, if you are so sick, if your doctor gives you the worst prognosis, says Jimmy or Jane, I'm sorry to tell you, but you won't be around for 2 more weeks. Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. You get out of bed and you vote.
I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds.
Given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
Are you going to sit by and wait for the government to just take care of you?
We've been saying for years now, but there's got to be a catalyst if they want to get everyone onto these new digital management systems. You can't just bring all this stuff in. People aren't going to go for it. As you can see, everything has changed in a week, and the justification under the old adage, never let a good crisis go to waste.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Is just here, and it's perfectly aligned with all of these agendas. And so while everybody is freaking out and buying all the toilet paper and panic buying the grocery stores and just trying to figure out how they're going to get through the next couple of months, we are looking at this in terms of what kind of power is going to be taken from this situation, because none of these crises that happen ever are put to waste. It's very pronounced when you look back on it. I mean, that's kind of what 2020 is. It's all this hindsight is 2020. I keep saying that lately because now that I'm seeing this, all these things that I wasn't sure about before are kind of clicking together like a puzzle. And all of that came together on Tuesday when I came across this MIT Technology Review article, which was written by Gideon Litchfield, who's the editor-in-chief over there. We're not going back to normal. Social distancing is here to stay for much more than a few weeks. It will upend our way of life in some ways forever. And I think everybody needs to read this MIT article and see what it is that is being proposed here for how society is going to be managed as this thing plays out that we're seeing now.
This is not the first time this has happened. This was Lyme's disease in the 1990s, SARS in 2002, XMRV in 2009, MERS in 2012, Ebola in 2014, and Zika in 2016, actually H1N1 in 2010. I just want people to know that the agenda is highly, highly suspect. Be aware, don't be paralyzed by fear, because this is part and parcel of their agenda. All right, there's 7 toxicities according to my philosophy, and they have hit 6 of the 7 toxicities. The 5th toxicity being emotional, psychological. That's what they've done with this hype, by creating the hype, by creating the fear mongering. That is affecting people on an emotional, psychological level. I know this was a long video. I hope you understand the significance of this. Pay it forward, pass it on, let people know the truth.
The numbers of those doubting the government are growing. Make videos and post what you find. Think for yourselves. Don't listen to what the television says. You have the right to be free. That's what this country was based on. The president doesn't control anything. He's just another puppet.
Did you hear that scream? There's like a scream. I don't know if it's a person. It almost sounds like a bird, like a caw. Alright, we got the lion, right? So clearly we got this lion, the mouth of the lion beast in Revelation 13. But in Daniel 7 it says he has 2 wings of an eagle. And if we look closely there, we can clearly see this eagle head, right, with 2 wings, left and right, forming this eagle. So we got this scream of an eagle, we got the roar of a lion. This is clearly what they're telling us, is that Donald Trump is this lion with 2 wings of an eagle. Now in the promotional video we can see this temple, and it really is a temple representing the Jews. And the Jews have a group called the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin has minted this coin of Donald Trump. Here you can see Donald Trump on this coin. To his left is the ancient King Cyrus. King Cyrus assisted the Jews in building a 3rd temple. To the left of Cyrus is a seal with a lion on it. And we're clearly showing you Donald Trump is this lion with 2 wings of an eagle. Okay? So there's the lion, and below it is the Cyrus scroll. And then over to the right, we have the seal of the United States with 2 wings of an eagle. So Donald Trump is clearly this lion with 2 wings of an eagle. But the Sanhedrin, the judges in Israel, okay, They're expecting him to build a third temple, because you can see right at the bottom, he charged them right here to build a house in Jerusalem. So the Sanhedrin and the Jews, some of the rabbis, fully expect Donald Trump to build a third temple. That's why we saw the temple in the promotional video. Okay? And if you don't know this coin, this is stuff that's going on. It's a Bible prophecy being fulfilled. This is a temple. You can see this is the temple coin they minted for Donald Trump in the expectation they will build a third temple in Jerusalem. Are they saying here this is going to be the third temple? It looks like it.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
in the lower spatial frequencies. The horizon is significantly lower on the left than it is on the right. Why? Well, see, she appears larger from the left than on the right. Historically, the left was female, the right was male.
The sacred feminine.
So dark, the con of man.
Is it another anagram? Can you break it?
Moon, sermon, charms. This is the original icon for male. It's a rudimentary phallus.
Quite to the point.
Yes, indeed. It's known as the blade. It represents aggression and manhood. It's a symbol still used today in modern military uniform. Now, as you would imagine, the female symbol is its exact opposite. This is called a chalice.
The chalice resembles a cup, or vessel, or more importantly, the shape of a woman's womb. It is quite literally this ancient symbol of womanhood. And in this case, a woman who carried a secret so powerful that if revealed, it would devastate the very foundations of Christianity.
You're saying the Holy Grail is a person? A woman?
And it turns out she makes an appearance right there.
Theories. There are theories.
Notice how Jesus and Mary are clothed. Mirror images of each other.
The mind sees what it chooses to see.
Mirror images of each other.
The mind sees what it chooses to see.
Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might have known what you were finding. Wish I knew what you were looking for.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Pope Francis calls for unity between evangelicals, Catholics, and he said that division is the work of the devil. So they had to be brought together. So Pence is actually the perfect one, because he is both Catholic and evangelical, and can bring them together. Pope Francis has called for unity amongst evangelicals, Catholics, and Christians from other denominations, emphasizing that we are one in Christ and warning that division between the groups is the work of the devil. Division is the work of the father of lies, the father of discord, who does everything possible to keep us divided, Francis said in a video message to a gathering sponsored by the John 17 movement. Now, the John 17 movement was a movement to gather all the evangelicals under one umbrella, under the papacy, or together with the papacy. Charisma News gives a very interesting insight. It tells us that Kenneth Copeland laid hands on Donald Trump and prayed over him. This is fascinating. Well, Charisma News is a very prominent journal. Earlier this month, we reported how Paula White set up an invitation-only meeting between the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and evangelical pastors. That meeting happened this week, and plenty of Pentecostals were there to lay hands on the billionaire, make declarations of his life, and pray. Beyond Paula White, also present were Kenneth and Gloria Copeland, and then another whole host of very prominent evangelical leaders. Where is this heading towards? Are we heading towards a union of church and state? Now, what is Donald Trump? Well, let's have a look. Religious News Services says, is Donald Trump now a born-again Christian? And when I read what the journal Christianity Today had to say about Donald Trump, about his remarks and his anti-woman statements and his wild statements, then they were, well, less than pleased, it seems. And now, afterwards, they're all scattering and trying to come together on these issues. Donald Trump has described himself as a Presbyterian and Protestant, a Sunday church person, which is very fascinating, and a collector of Bibles. Now, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee reportedly can add born-again Christian to that list too, according to one of the members of Trump's new Evangelical Advisory Board. So here you have a Sunday-keeping Protestant. Now, if you're going to reach out to the religious community and bring them together, wouldn't it be interesting if the Protestant reaches out to the Catholics and the Catholics reaches out to the Protestants? Then you would have a perfect mix. But I found this rather interesting, and an interesting mix, because by some of his statements, it is hard to imagine that all of this is, perfect truth. Now, this was the statement that Donald Trump made to the Catholic world.
Catholics are an important part of the American story. America has been strengthened by hardworking Catholics. From New York to California, the Catholic story is truly unique, and it's a great story. From marching for civil rights to educating millions of children, serving the poor, and helping define the pro-life movement, clergy and lay Catholics across the country have made countless contributions to the American success and the American success story. Washington politicians have been hostile to the church. They have been hostile to Catholics. They have been hostile to the members of Catholicism. My administration will stand side by side with the American Catholics to promote the values we all share as Christians and Americans. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. We will make America great again.
So there you have Donald Trump reaching out to the Catholic community.
This is the world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
Footage has emerged of the former Vice President Creepy F. Biden, with young children and with the Attorney General Jeff Sessions, we just want to play these clips and want to warn you that what you're about to see is very disturbing. Now, obviously, the behavior that you're seeing here fits the profile of a pedophile. Obviously, nobody out there would take liberties with other people's children like creepy Joe Biden does. And there's just tons of footage of him out there touching children inappropriately, caressing them, massaging them, basically grooming them, and making them feel basically awkward in their own skin. And this is part of the pedophile process. This is part of the virus that we're dealing with in terms of these spirit cookers. Now, check out this footage. This is the Attorney General Jeff Sessions when he was senator being sworn in by then Vice President Biden. Now, all the people are running away with their children, but Biden sees a victim. So he swoops in, he tries to touch her, and boom, he's like, get out of here. Get out of here. Don't touch this kid. He knows. Jeff Sessions knows what Biden is. And the reason that he knows is because he's had many years to work with him. So obviously this man has a reputation. They know what they're dealing with as fellow senators and colleagues. But this is just some of the very strange, bizarre, and damning footage that we see out there regarding this creepy Biden. Now look how he kind of like, he's like, come here, kid, come here, and he grabs her, yanks her, and then he starts touching her. I mean, this is very inappropriate and disturbing behavior, but it's very classic. It's what it's expected when it comes to these kind of people. Look at him, whispering sweet nothings, and this is kind of like his MO. He's basically grooming the children, trying to make them feel comfortable, making them feel special, that kind of thing. I mean, this is what predators do. We're seeing it again here, and it's very inappropriate. He grabs him by the arm, he yanks him real close, and he's like, come here, kid. I mean, this stuff, he even tries to kiss her. This is messed up, and he's smiling. Look at this now, more petting.
Vice President Joe Biden will attend the Pope's installation mass. Biden arrived at a military airport near Rome Sunday evening. He's the first Roman Catholic to serve as vice president.
Hi there, my name is Alan Lamont. I am bringing a video about Joe Biden, who recently, as we know, in the news, called for a new world order. US Vice President Joe Biden did not hesitate to call for a new world order while participating in the Export-Import Bank Conference in Washington, D.C., where Joe Biden made this quote: "The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order." Now, when Joe Biden makes this statement, let me make it clear to you, they have already established this new world order. So when he speaks of actually creating the new world order, it's already been created. What it really means is that now is the time to fully implement that. They've waited. And what have they waited for? I'll reveal this. But first of all, I need to explain something about who Joe Biden really is. First, I want to say this. He is actually the real president of the United States. That's the truth. That's who he is. Let me explain that. Joseph R. Biden. Okay. Joseph Biden is a papal knight of Malta, which is a Vatican knighthood, the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem. He is also a high Jesuit, and he is the controller of Barack Obama. Joe Biden has risen from congressman and, served Carter, the President of the United States, and also he was serving Pope John Paul II. And he is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. But more than that, Joe Biden has Jesuit alumni honorary degrees from the University of Scranton, PA. Also, he has Jesuit degrees from St. Joseph's University, Philadelphia, PA. Joe Biden has been trained by the Jesuit order. And it's the Jesuits who control the American government.
These aren't normal times.
As we all manage our way through a pandemic unlike anything we've seen in a century, Michelle and I hope that you and your families are safe and well. If you've lost somebody to this virus, or if someone in your life is sick, or if you're one of the millions suffering economic hardship, please know that you're in our prayers. But if there's one thing we've learned as a country from moments of great crisis, it's that the spirit of looking out for one another can't be restricted to our homes or our workplaces or our neighborhoods or our houses of worship. It also has to be reflected in our national government. The kind of leadership that's guided by knowledge and experience, honesty and humility, empathy and grace. That kind of leadership doesn't just belong in our state capitals and mayor's offices. It belongs in the White House. And that's why I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States. Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made, and he became a close friend. And I believe Joe has all the qualities we need in a president right now.
Now, after what happened with Clinton, it was too obvious. It was too obvious because, and I'll explain that. Bill Clinton graduated from Jesuit Georgetown University. And he was a high Jesuit. And he was positioned to become president by Jesuit Georgetown University. And of course, after that, we had, Bush Jr., and he was a complete disaster. I mean, he wasn't a failure. He'd done everything that the Jesuits ordered him to do. He was under the chain of command of the Jesuits of Rome. But after that whole 9/11 CIA operation and the war in Iraq, they realized that they really just could not continue, to position these people who had these Jesuit connections, But the thing is, if you dig into Barack Obama, you find really that Barack Obama was really controlled by Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was a member of the Knight of Malta, and he's also a member of the Bilderberg Group, a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, and one of the founding members of the Trilateral Commission. And of course, he has Jesuit alumni degrees from Jesuit Georgetown University. The vast majority of them do. He is a Polish Roman Catholic, but he's also a Jew, okay? A socialist communist, a Jesuit professor from Columbia University, also in New York. And he was the man that recruited, Barack Obama. He was the one that really brought him into the Council on Foreign Relations and really, opened the doors for him to be positioned as President of the United States. You have other Jews in the highest positions, and of course people say the Jews control the New World Order because you have another man called George Soros, George Soros, and he was the member of the Council on Foreign Relations, member of the, Carlyle Group, which is an interlocking financial group, really, amongst the Vatican Knights. Also, he was, another major stockholder in Halliburton, another organization, really primarily for war. He was a Hungarian Jew, another socialist communist, but he was the actual financial backer of Barack Hussein Obama. And also he was connected to Rupert Murdoch, who was a Vatican Knight of St. Gregory. But really, what you have here is you have high Masonic Jews in the highest positions of the American CFR, okay? And all of these corporations, running these corporations. It's exactly the same with the media. I really sympathize with people who say that the Jews rule and the Zionists control the New World Order. I mean, 90% of them are spreading disinformation, okay? Knowingly. They're conscious conspirators, but there's that 10% who really believe that actually the Jews rule the New World Order. Well, what we're talking about here is we're talking about high Masonic Jews that are positioned, really the court Jews, okay, for the Pope of Rome. They're under the power of the papacy, but they're put out in front as diversion so that people never see the true controllers and the true shadow Jesuit government. So what I'm giving you some history to what's actually taking place. The positioning of Barack Obama was really just to take attention away from the Jesuit order. But what they've done is they've put, their vice president, high Jesuit, and he is a high Jesuit. He really is. He is the real president of the United States, Joseph Biden. Why is he coming out now and saying things like, we need a new world order? We need to create, in reality, this new world order. What does that mean in reality? It means it's time to implement it. So why have they been waiting? Everyone's eyes have been on Barack Obama. And what did they do? They brought out their... Now listen, I am not against Jews. I have friends who are Jews and also Messianic Jews. Do you understand? I have a lot of friends that are Jewish, actually. I used to work with a lot of Jewish people in different churches. So I'm not anti-Semitic, just hear what I'm saying. You had, papal advisor, Knight of Malta, Henry Kissinger, who is for a long time worked in this roundtable of the Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg Group, Club of Rome, this whole, Holy Roman Empire, roundtable. Kissinger really has moved in and out of these different organizations, and he made a statement a few years ago saying, it's through Barack Obama that we're going to bring the New World Order. Why did he make that statement, and why was it from a Jew? Okay, because the Jesuits of Rome are, diverting people away from the true power, who is actually Joe Biden. That's the truth. Barack Hussein Obama is nothing more than a 33rd degree Prince Hall Freemason. Now I'm not saying that's all he is, but I'm saying, that's the only power he has. Of course he also does have Jesuit alumni degrees, and that's from Notre Dame, Jesuit University. So of course he has power, of course he has position, and he's positioned into the, Catholic American Holy Roman Empire. He's positioned as president, but all he is a high mason. All he is a Jesuit alumni. The true president, the true controller of him is, as I've said, Joe Biden. And he has been working for the papacy really for decades. I mean, even since the time of John Paul II.
Hi, I'm President Business, President of the Octave Corporation.
Is when the world will end. It is being done in the name of Christ. It's being headed up by the Roman Catholic Church. It is representative of the charismatic movement, or the leaders of the charismatic movement, coming into reunification with the Roman Catholic Church. And they claim that when the world sees this reunification, that then suddenly the whole world will believe in Christ as a result of this, and that this is allegedly to prepare the way for the Lord's return. This is actually unbiblical.
But you see, once that main separating spirit of division was pulled down, it released the Lord Jesus to get this thing underway.
The keynote speakers are Cardinal Daniel Donato and Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland is one of the usual suspects in terms of the charismatic movement. His doctrines are so heretical that they can't even be described as Christian. There's no question that Copeland has links to Freemasonry and mysticism and every kind of perversion of biblical Christianity that you can possibly dream up.
The biggest church split in history. The Catholic Church We've been protesting for 500 years, baby.
There is also an association with the New Apostolic Reformation. It represents Gnosticism, which was the same problem or the same demonic influence that attacked the Christian gospel in the New Testament. And Gnosticism fundamentally is mysticism. It deals with subjective spiritual experience which is elevated above the Word of God or biblical doctrine.
So this is to get all the religions together, right? Mary's message of peace, unity, and tolerance is one that a distressed and perplexed world craves. The Queen proclaims that there will come a time when all Christendom will be reunified under the Roman Church. Is the papacy doing that at the moment?
The biggest church split in history. The Catholic Church split. Satan is the spirit of division. Now, when you're dealing with what happened 500 years ago, what is a protest? Strife. Oh, one of my favorite days in my life was with Pope Francis. What a man. He's one of my heroes. And this is what he's all about. This whole thing. That's one of the things that got me so on fire about it. And I am on fire. I heard the Lord say this just 2 days ago. 2018 is the year of the Holy Ghost and fire. The big 18. Say it together. Say Catholic, Lutheran.
If there is no more protest, how can there be a Protestant church?
What it is, essentially, remember with the Knights Templar, this is dominionism. This is dominion theology, about taking over the world.
Coming into reunification with the Roman Catholic Church. And they claim that when the world sees this reunification, that then suddenly the whole world will believe in Christ.
Now these 7 fields of influence are very powerful, so powerful in fact, that he who occupies the top of those mountains can literally shape the agenda that forms nations. Can literally shape the agenda that forms nations.
April 4th, 2020 is the date. Vatican watches stunned as Pope Francis drops title Vicar of Christ and assumes power as Jorge Mario Bergoglio in his own name, fulfilling John 5:43, prophecy of Antichrist. Hello. Alright, so Archbishop Vigano says it's as if Pope Francis now views himself as becoming master of the church, free to demolish it from within without having to answer to anyone. In short, a tyrant. Goes on, Roman Catholics from deep within the Vatican are sounding the alarm bells today because Pope Francis is once again doing wacky end-time stuff. Today's story comes from an article on the Catholic site, LifeSite News, from the title Vicar of Christ in the annual Vatican yearbook, and instead has listed himself in his own name of Jorge Mario Bergoglio. LifeSite News and Vigano are rightly alarmed by this breach of long-standing Vatican protocol, but if they knew anything about Bible prophecy, they'd really be quaking in their boots. What Pope Francis did is a prophecy of Antichrist. But I know you that ye have not the love of God in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him will ye receive. March the 28th, 2013, 5 days after he met with Pope Benedict at Castel Gandolfo, and Pope Benedict XVI told him that he had been communicating with the returned, reincarnated or resurrected Lord Jesus Christ. So the Roman Catholic Church is not the church that Jesus shed his blood to create. You're right. It is the demonic counterfeit. You see, Jesus was an Essene. Combined with Vatican City and the Holy See, it is actually Mystery Babylon from Revelation 17 and 18. Every pope for the last 1700 years has pretended to be the vicar of Christ, the person in place of Christ running the Roman Church. But every pope has also retained the title of Pontifex Maximus. The early pre-Catholic Church Fathers said that the Pontifex Maximus was the kingdom of heathendom, the evil high priest of the pagan mystery religion of Rome, and they were right. Now, this is not the first time that Pope Francis has asserted authority in his own name. It happened back in 2015 when he addressed the General Assembly of the United Nations. You can see it in the video below. So I'm not going to read all of this. I'll put the link underneath. And just so here in 2020, this crazy end times year where the whole world has gone off the deep end, Pope Francis no longer needs the phony historical titles of the Roman Catholic Church. He comes now instead in his own name of Jorg Mario Bergoglio as he prepares to fulfill the prophecies related to the Antichrist and the whore of Babylon, over which he is the king. 2020 continues to be the year of prophecy in this unbelievable end times roller coaster ride. So, look, what can we say? Not a single one of the popes has been the vicar of Christ. That was adopted in what it was about the 11th, the 11th century by whatever pope it was then. And none of them have stood in place of Christ upon the earth. It's all a total, absolute fiction on their behalf, and the world has been running by it ever since. And the head of the beast, being the Vatican, was cut off as soon as Benedict made the announcement that he had met the Christ and wrote his apostolic letter, which uploaded to the internet March the 26th, 2013. The link to the apostolic letter and its languages are in the description box.
That's white smoke?
Is that white smoke? I'm going to...
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Well, that is a very different colour smoke. That is white smoke. That is so different from what we saw last night. That suggests
Cardinal Scola.
That after just over 24 hours of deliberations, you can see the cheers, you can see the crowds. This is white smoke rising from above the Sistine Chapel. There is a new pope. There is enormous excitement in St. Peter's Square down beneath us. So on the 5th ballot of voting, the Roman Catholic Church has a new pontiff.
Morgan. Wolf, Reverend Gabriele Amorth made headlines around the world recently when he said the devil was present in the Vatican.
You're talking about something very real, aren't you?
Certo, realissima. Dico, se credete al Vangelo, credete all'esistenza del demonio.
Absolutely, very real.
As to the devil's presence in the Vatican, he says that's no surprise. He once had to perform an exorcism on another exorcist.
Now this image here underneath the Vatican has been there since their claim, which would be Constantine. We would know that he was the first one that built this basilica. And so again we ask ourselves, why are they keeping this depiction of Lucifer underneath the Vatican? Well, we think the answer for why all these images, idols, are kept underneath the Vatican is because what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with an apostate church that has always been apostate, and even now as it is filled with Freemasons. And so we know that the reason why they're keeping all of this there now, and they're actually revealing this on their internet website, is because they want people to see this. They want people to see what they're really all about. And for the masses who believe that Rome is still a pure church, they don't mind deceiving them into believing that they are still a Christian church.
Been talked about as an act of God. The Vatican, struck by lightning on the same day Pope Benedict XVI shocked his cardinals by announcing his resignation. The frequently stumbling pontiff has long stayed off rumours of deteriorating health. In this instance, he's caught napping during a moment of sanctity while visiting the flock in Malta. Benedict began his reign as Catholicism's mitre-wielding man of cloth in his late 70s. He endured a broken wrist and a very public attack, giving rise to concerns that he may become vulnerable after suffering a stroke. Just recently, and perhaps another sign from God, the pontiff's dove of peace found itself flying solo against a wall. The symbol of harmony and purity was then set upon by a vengeful seagull, leaving the faithful questioning the mind of God. Perhaps the reign of Benedict is ending not because of his age or health, but because he simply didn't have the cool factor of the Pope who went before him.
Flammas eius, Lucifer matutinus inveniat. Ille inquam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano generis serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like...
Foremost among those who were called to lead the church from the darkness of popery into the light of a purer faith stood Martin Luther. And this is what people believe, but Martin Luther himself was an initiate of the mystery schools, a follower of the faith of Mystery Babylon, as was the Pope and the hierarchy of the Catholic Church. You see, but they were vying for rulership of the world, and up until not too long ago, have always been throughout history. For the Vatican practices the corrupted worship of Mystery Babylon, the combination of Christianity and the worship of Mystery Babylon, whereas the mystery schools retain the pure form of Mystery Babylon. And this is the only difference between the two, folks, and they have been vying throughout history for the rulership of the world. Mystery Babylon attempting to destroy the Pope and Christianity, and the Pope attempting to persecute and burn away the followers, the initiates of Mystery Babylon. And it has always been the goal of the worshippers of Mystery Babylon to seat one of their own upon the throne of the Vatican. And they have succeeded. They have succeeded, folks, and now you are seeing the beginning of the combination of all religions into one world religion.
They're not Christians, they're Luciferians and Kabbalists. What we're seeing develop with the ecumenical movement is leading to the new age of Antichrist.
So there we go. Don't believe Trump's telling you himself who he is. He's this lion.
Days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds,
That is when the world will end.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors.
Mirror images of each other.
The mind sees what it chooses to see.
Now, my dear, the word in French for Holy Grail.
Le Saint Graal.
Middle English, Sangria, of the original Arthurian legend. Now, as two words. Translate for our friend.
Saint Real, it means royal blood.
Witness the greatest cover-up in human history. This is the secret the Priory of Sion has defended for over 20 centuries. They are the guardians of the royal bloodline. Keepers of the proof of our true past. They are the protectors of the living descendants of Jesus Christ.
There's so many brilliant things in the Bible, and you can read it over, and many people have done this and they've led their life that way, but you can read it hundreds and hundreds of times. You know, David, they say great art, like the Mona Lisa. Some people, they look at it and it doesn't look as great at the beginning, and then they'll look at it, by the time they see it many, many times, it becomes the most, they can't take their eyes off it. Whereas art that's not great, you look at it, it looks beautiful at the beginning, but you get tired of it. The Bible is special. The Bible, the more you see it, the more you read it, the more incredible it is, and the more you realize. It's like a great, you could say, I mean, I don't like to use this analogy, but like a great movie, a great, incredible movie.
Don't see me coming. That's what you're missing.
Then his other hand went up inside my skirt.
You know, I could say, they'd say you don't cure, as an example, child molester. You don't cure these people. You don't cure a child molester. There's no cure for it. Pathological, there's no cure for that.
Somebody I want you to meet. Kevin and Marianne Lomax. This is Senator Alphonse D'Amato. Ambassador Charles Gargano. In case you didn't know, these are the Republicans of New York.
You know, Barjoon always overstates things.
Donald Trump was supposed to be here tonight, but he had a business emergency. Probably Mark Zuckerman.
In case you didn't know, these are the Republicans of New York.
You know, Barjoon always overstates things.
Donald Trump was supposed to be here tonight, but he had a business emergency. Probably Mark Zuckerman.
Mr. Murdo? You're on. Mr. Murdo? For God's sake, man.
Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic.
Why do we have to keep going?
Because it needs to be clear, Mr. Cullen. Because I need to know and understand exactly what happened. You're standing there. You look down. There's the gun.
You kneel down to pick it up?
You work late, you come home, you walk in, everybody's dead. It's not something you planned for.
Stop. Back up. 2 prints by the gun. Right hand, right knee. Right knee.
We have been over this.
I'm trying to picture it. I'm trying to picture it. Your hand came from inside and underneath.
I'm the hand of Mona Lisa's skirt. I'm a surprise, Kevin. They don't see me coming. That's what you're missing.
And I'm talking to my friend who I'm sitting to and across from on my left side. I'm very clear on this. This is the vivid part for me. So the person on my right, who unbeknownst to me at that time was Donald Trump, put their hand up my skirt.
Your hand came from inside and underneath.
I'm the hand of Mona Lisa's skirt.
You ever ask God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out. I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian, and I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The power of positive thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so great. He would give a sermon you never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons, and every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right, even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real-life situations, modern-day situations, into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great... He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, when we go in church and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed.
Looks like an airplane without wings.
Did we make it? Are we back?
We're back. Idiot.
Nice shot, Doc!
Please note that Einstein's clock is in precise synchronization with my control watch.
Got it.
Right, checked on.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour! The temporal displacement occurred exactly 1:20 a.m. in 0 seconds! Looks like an airplane without wings.
How can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core, where I become so numb without a soul, my spirit sleeping somewhere cold until you find it there and lead it back home. Wake me up inside, wake me up inside, call my name and save me from the dark. Bring my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become. Now that I know what I'm without, you can't just leave me. Breathe into me and make me real. Bring me to life. Wake me up inside, wake me up inside. Call my name and save me from the dark. Bring my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become. Bring me to life. Bring me to
Hey, that's Clem. Let's go.
Mr. Clamp, is it true the building's been evacuated?
Sir, is the building on fire? No, that's a false alarm. We've just got some, problems.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
But a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say, enough is enough.